Welcome, Best. How are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, it is morning here. I guess it's afternoon for some people and evening as well for some people as well. It depends on what part of the world you're calling from, but it's morning for me here. So I guess good morning
Great.
to everyone.
Good morning. I see some of our guests entering from Alabama, from Lagos, Nigeria, from different part of the world, from Ghana. Welcome, everyone. We're very happy to have you here with us
Welcome.
today. And I'm sharing the first slides that Best has put together. Who is Best? I'd like to probably do a little bit of introduction, but I feel like you'll do a better job. So Best is an immigration consultant, is an RCIC. What that means is a registered Canadian immigration consultant. And Best doesn't just consult Canada-wide. He has a special kind of consultation that he has added to his portfolio as well, which means he consults also focusing on the French Quebec immigration pathway. Best is the only consultant that I know Canada-wide that has that registration to consult for you if you're looking at Quebec as an opportunity to migrate into Canada. So we have to find you the best and the only, and that's why we wanted him to come talk to us about two major platforms and pathways. I've got a lot of questions relating to how do I find jobs in Canada from outside Canada? And that is why I felt like it was important to talk about the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, because pretty much you need a job to get into that pool and get through that pathway to come to Canada. Well, I know that everyone I know that is not from a francophone country feel like French is a problem. If anything French shows up, everyone just feel like they need to work away. Today, I have brought Best to help us demystify what is that? Can I do it? Do I merit it even if I'm an English speaker? How much French do I actually need to merit it? So today is going to help us deal with those two topics. Best, whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Awesome. So I guess you're gonna be helping me with the slides there, but awesome. So good day, everyone. My name is Best Godfrey. I think Adeola has done a good introduction, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. So if you just pass on to the next slide, please, slide number 2, and then we can just go on. I don't know if everyone can see it, but
my picture is blocking the whole thing. God,
yeah, I know. Is there a way to move it to the side, maybe, or
no? There's no way.
no?
Guys,
Okay.
I fixed my lashes. My face is beautiful. That's all you're gonna see. Sorry.
Okay. Either way, I'm going to be explaining the slides, so I think they will still get a lot of information from it, so it should be good enough. But essentially, I'm going to just be talking about the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, the Quebec Skilled Worker Program, talk about how to get a job in Canada, and also some important resources as well to help you in your journey, and ways that you can contact us as well. So if you can move on to the next slide, please. Good. So your face is not blocking this one, so this is nice. You can see that it's been shown properly. So as some of you know, a few weeks ago, Canada just updated its immigration plan. We're going to be welcoming over 400,000 immigrants over the next few years. And for up to 2023, this is about 1.2 million people. So that's a lot of people. And it is really my hope that some of you will be part of this 1.2 million. Sounds like a lot of people. So I hope we can start figuring out a plan to help you, to help make Canada your new home. So I hope you're part of this audience as well. So let's move on to the
Can I start asking questions already?
I mean, you can ask as we go along, but let's get started in the Atlantic, and then we can start taking some questions then.
I have a question on this slide.
Okay.
So what I wanted to ask, because once we all posted about this high number of immigration that's going to happen to Canada, I've already started getting questions about what will happen. So people were asking if, will the CRA score be lowered? Are the pathways still going to remain the same? Are there going to be new pathways added? You know, people are asking a lot of questions about those. I'm wondering if you have anything you want to just chip in there.
Yeah, so far there's this 1.2 million immigrants that we're talking about. It's express entry or is just one category. There's different categories. There's at least 80 immigration pathways to Canada, right? So there's different ways of immigrating to Canada, but this is the general immigration plan. So I think it's always important for the clients to know which pathway they qualify for, or which pathway is the path of I say least resistance per se, because there isn't like a one size fits all for everybody. So it's about finding which path will work best for them, and then we can start looking at, we can talk about a plan that would help them achieve their goal. But it's a very ambitious plan. There's a lot of people that we're going to be inviting into Canada. So I guess the first step is always to know which one of the programs will be best for the clients, and everyone's situation is different. So it's always good to have that conversation first.
Great, thank you.
All right, so moving on to the Atlantic immigration pilots. As this pilot is for some provinces, in the eastern Canada, East Coast, and so the pilot started in 2017, and you can't see all of the slide, but a pilot essentially is just the 3-year program, and after that, usually it should either be scrapped or made permanent. But right now, it's been so started in 2017 January, so 3 years originally, and in 2018 the allocation spots got increased from 2,000 to 2,500 spots. And right now in 2017, there was a program extension. So instead of it ended in 2020, it has now been extended to at least 2021. So because the program has been a success, and actually some other programs were also mirrored for this format as well, like the rural and northern immigration pilot, you're trying to mirror that with the Atlantic. So it's working good. And it is my guess, if I was to guess, because you never really know for sure with immigration, but if I was to guess, is this would probably be a permanent immigration program as well. Because originally the history why this program was set up is there's shortages of workers in Canada in general, but also especially in the East Coast, because so the population is aging a little bit. And as we know, the retirement age is 65 in Canada, and a lot of people are close to retirement or they're retiring. So we need to replenish our workforce, and employers have been struggling with looking for talent in the East Coast. And also a lot of young people are immigrating from the eastern Canada and going to the bigger cities like Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Vancouver, and they're relocating from the Atlantic area. So there's really a shortage in the East. So the government has decided to test this out as a pilot and see if this will help with some of the labor shortages that the employers are having, and they've been having some success with it. So that's why this program, I think, is going to stay for the long run. But that's essentially what the Atlantic immigration pilot is. So let's talk about some of the key players in the Atlantic immigration pilot. On the next slide, please, Addie. If you can. Yeah. So the Atlantic immigration pilot is it's unique. The first thing is we need a job offer from a designated employer. So designated employer is just somebody who has labor needs and is looking to hire a foreign national. And then we have also another key player there, which is a foreign national. For example, you're looking for a job you in Canada. And so what the Atlantic immigration pilot does is it just brings these two parties together. Somebody who's looking to hire a foreign national and a foreign national who's looking for a job, and the Atlantic pilot brings them together. Another unique component about the program is settlement services. So a lot of immigrants struggle after they arrive in Canada. In most countries, not just Canada even. I think immigration in itself is not just about getting a visa. A lot of people think, I'll get a visa and I'll just go and I'll figure it out. And you could figure it out, but life could also be challenging after people immigrate to a new country where they don't know anybody. They don't have any friends, they don't have any family, and it's a new place, and it's winter and it's cold and it's snowing, and they're trying to figure life out. So I think this program is very unique because first you go to Canada, you already have a job, which is some of the concerns that people usually have, of course. And also there's a settlement services component to this. So the employer has to work with an organization that helps you and your family settle when you arrive in Canada. So it makes for a softer landing per se. So it's part of the unique components. And of course we have the immigration part of it as well as another key player where you use this process to apply for permanent residency. So this is not an express entry program. I know express entry is one of the very popular programs that we have, but this is not related to express entry at all. It's not a point-based system at all. It's just an employer looking to hire somebody, and the Atlantic Immigration Pilots just puts that person with the employer together, and they're able to get permanent residency that way. And they have a softer landing because there's a settlement services component that is mandatory for them to have, so the employee can settle a little easier. Okay.
So
if we move, yeah, go ahead.
I'm wondering if you can help us shed a light on, does this have age restriction? Or
no, so like I said, this is not express entry related. Express entry is more of a point-based system where we get skilled workers, and people get points based on different factors. So you get factors, you get points for factors like your age and your level of education and the amount of work experience, the amount of years that you have for work experience. But with this, the key is just really getting that job offer. And if you have that, you should be okay. It's not really about the age. And I'll talk about more of the requirements on the next slides. If you're able to just move to the next slide, and you see that this age is not a major requirement for this one at all. Also, I'll wait for you to get into the next slide there.
So, give me a second.
Not a problem.
I was trying to type and say hi to people, and now I need to get back to slides.
That's okay. So it'll be slide number 6 for you whenever you're ready. But I'll keep having the conversation anyways. So okay. The Atlantic Immigration Pilots, there's 3 categories essentially. So we have the International Graduates category, the High Skilled Program category, and the Intermediate Skilled Program category.
Is this the right one?
Number 6, please.
Oh God.
So you're at number 12 right now. So I guess you got to keep going.
Right
so
here.
Right there. Awesome. So there's International Graduate Program that we talked about, and the High Skilled Program, and the Intermediate Skilled Program as well. So I'm not going to be spending too much time on the International Graduate Program because these are for people that studied in Canada, international students, and a lot of students that are already here. There's usually a pathway for them to stay, and if they're already here, I think permanent immigration is a little easier for them. So we're not going to be spending too much time on that today because I figured a lot of you are calling. We're joining us today from abroad and to Canada, so let's spend a little bit of more time on the High Skilled Program. Yeah, not a problem. We'll be spending more time on the.
My mama was looking for a child.
Okay, that's good. So the High Skilled Program and then the Intermediate Skilled Program. So as you can see, you need generally in a related occupation, whatever you were doing. You need to get a job offer in the NOC 0, A, or B. So for those of you who don't know what NOC is, it's a National Occupation Classification. So Canada classifies jobs into different categories. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, your job essentially will fall into a National Occupation Classification. So it'll be 0, A, B. So 0, for example, will be like a managerial role, like you were a manager somewhere, that would be probably NOC 0. If you were a professional, like say a quality coordinator, for example, just any professional with a degree that have a professional job, you fall into like the A category in general. And it B, so the skills just drop from 0, and it's got dropping from 0 A, B in terms of responsibility. We're not saying the B or the C or the D, they're not good jobs, or they're not jobs that are honorable. It's just we try and put them into different categories so we can understand what type of occupation that you have. So a B, for example, would be like say a chef, or a chef, and a D could be, a D wouldn't really qualify, but a C, we're looking at say a truck driver, for example, and that could fall under C. So it's different types of work that people do. You need a full-time job offer from an employer. I need a CLB for language. So CLB is like the Canadian language benchmark. So for a language in say English or French, those are the languages of Canada. So there's the language benchmark is from like 4, which is the minimum. So they need the minimum language skills from you, and it goes all the way to 10. So it goes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And all that is required is just the bare minimum for language skills, and that's the CL4. So, and also bare minimum as well for education, which is also high school. So see, it doesn't really have anything to do with express entry. It's very different. It's not a point-based system. You get a job offer, you have a high school or secondary school in some countries, that's what it's called. You have a secondary school, high school diploma, you've had an experience for 1 year, and if you get the job offer, you'll be able to immigrate to Canada as a high skilled worker. And intermediate skilled as well also intermediate skill program also has the C component for the NOC. So you're able to also get a job as in the category C and also be able to apply for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot that way as well. Okay. And let's move on to the next slide, slide number 7. Awesome. So we're talking about job offers, we're talking about the designated employer, but I want to shed some more light on what a designated employer is, because you can get a job, but you just can get a job from any type of employer. The employer needs to be authorized by the province to actually hire foreign nationals, because in Canada, we try and protect our market. So a designated employer doesn't need to go through a process called LMIA. And let me explain LMIA first, I guess. LMIA is a labor market impact assessment. And what that is essentially is, before an employer goes abroad to hire a foreign national, they need to prove to the government that they've tried to look for a local person to do the job, a permanent resident or a citizen of Canada, and they couldn't really find anybody that could do the job. So now, because of the labor shortage, they're going abroad to look for somebody else. So that is the labor market impact assessment. So the government is going to say, okay, well, that's wonderful. Or you've tried to advertise, you've tried to look for somebody you couldn't. Okay, we want to make sure that this assessment, this new job, is not going to affect our market negatively. It's going to have a positive impact on our economy, or at the minimum, it's going to have a neutral effect. Because if it is a negative effect, for example, the government is not going to approve that person being hired. So that is the LMIA process in general. But what the designated, for example, even with the LMIA as well, is very important because it protects the market. So for example, if an employer has the employee on strike because they didn't get paid, it makes sure that the employer doesn't just go abroad and hires 100 more people to fill those jobs, right? Because you're clearly not paying your people. So why do you think you could just go abroad and hire some new people, right? So you have to make sure that it's not affecting the local market. There's no strike going on and something that is negative going on. So the employer, to be designated, needs to make this application with the province, and the province need to authorize them to go abroad and hire a foreign national without needing the LMIA process. Of course, they would have also still gone through the application process to make sure that the employer doesn't, or actually has that need, that shortage, and so they just don't need to be doing the LMIA process because they've already been authorized. The other unique component, of course, is the employer also has to work with the settlement organization to help the employees settle and your family settle a little easier when they arrive in Canada, which is really the unique components of the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, because they want the employees to have an easier settlement, because it could be difficult for somebody to come to a new country without having a plan. And of course, the job offer that the employer needs to be offering needs to be full-time. So it's not like something you work seasonally for 3 months and then you have no more job. It has to be a full-time offer. And it could be in the National Occupation Classification, the NOC code is going to be 0A, B for the high skilled, or even up to C for the intermediate skilled worker as well. So those are the two main things for this particular program. It's the job offer component, and the person that's given the job offer has to be authorized to give the job offer. And then also the job offer has to be a valid job offer that is full-time and not seasonal in the category that is needed.
I want to add
Yes.
a piece here. So I've had a couple of questions from people who said, my brother has a Canadian company registered, and or somebody I know has a Canadian company registered. I persuaded them to give me a job offer so that I can come to Canada. We would like to seek your opinion on that, because I've seen people just wanting, I have a registered Canadian company, right? So, but I'm not a designated employer. I don't know if I am, but because I don't know the criteria for that, right? But I just know I have a company that's been running for 3 years, right? How do you find out if the company trying to hire you is a designated employer?
So with the designation that we're talking about, this is only really related to the Atlantic provinces for the Atlantic Immigration Pilot. There's 10 provinces in Canada. There's 3 territories. Canada is a very big area. For the designation we're talking about, it's just 4 provinces that are in the Atlantic Immigration Program, and we're going to be talking about that in the next few slides as well.
Okay.
So if you get a job anywhere else in Canada, the employer needs to go through the LMIA process, like we talked about. For the Atlantic immigration, they don't need to go through the LMIA process anymore, because they've already proven to the government that they actually have a shortage and they need this help. So it's more of an administrative nightmare to keep going through this same LMIA process over and over and over every single time. So they've been designated, and they've also agreed to help the employees settle after they arrive as well. So that's the key difference with an employer, say in Ontario or Alberta or anywhere else. They don't necessarily need to be designated. They just need to go through the LMIA process just like everybody else.
Which is very tough.
Yeah, which is an administrative nightmare. Some of them don't want to go through that, right? So that's why the companies in the East, in the Atlantic, they have a bit of advantage because they've already done this, but they don't need to do it every single time like everybody else does. So that's the key thing.
Okay, so I want to put this out there and say to people that there you've just heard there are two routes there. If you're looking in the Atlantic Canada, you don't need the LMIA process. Maybe that's a better. The reason why you have this session today is this. Because a lot of people thought if I find a job in Canada, I'm going to move here. The issue is if you get a job offer and the employer is not in the Atlantic and they have to go through the LMIA process, which means they probably posted that job for some months. They didn't find a Canadian. I'm telling you, a lot of employers, 80% of employers don't want to go through that. They don't want to go through that. It's a little tough to have to go through that. So if you're looking for a job, it's probably easier to channel your application towards the Atlantic provinces because LMI is not needed. The reason
it's just for precision on that, if the employer is designated, you don't need to go through the LMIA. Now, for the employers that don't have the authorization from the province, you still need to go through the LMIA process with them. So in my resources list, because I did make a list at the end of the slides here, and I'll be sharing with you guys later, is you just have to search and see if this employer is designated or not. Because if they're not, they still need to go through the LMIA process with you. And if they are designated, then they'll find it a little easier in terms of administrative processes to maybe want to hire you, right? But so LMIA is required all over Canada, but there's some specific employers that are designated that don't need to go through that particular step. And that is what the Atlantic Immigration Pilot is, because the pilots is for 4 provinces, but they also still have their own provincial nomination programs, for example. But this is a program, like a blanket program for all 4 provinces for the Atlantic. So it makes it a little easier. And if we go to the next slide, like I said, there it is not express entry related. So it is not a point-based system, and you're not going to be getting points for your age and all of that stuff. It's just if you get the job from a designated employer, then you'll be eligible eventually to get your permanent residency. If you can, the next slide, please. Like this one just tells you Atlantic is not express entry related, of course, and we already talked about that. And so people have been asking what states are in the Atlantic immigration pilot. Well, Canada, we don't really have states. It's more provinces. It's 10 provinces and 3 territories. So we call them provinces here, not states. So just precision. But there's 4 provinces in the Atlantic immigration, participating in the Atlantic immigration pilot program. That's New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. And the population sizes over here, you can see Nova Scotia has 979,000, so with the most people, and then Prince Edward has the least. But these are the provinces, all 4 of them are the ones participating in the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program. So if you were able to get a job in any of these provinces from a designated employer, then you should be okay to immigrate to Canada. So if you move to the next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about the province in terms of population. You can see that the Atlantic immigration the Atlantic Canada in terms of population is just 6% in terms of the entire country. It isn't a lot of people. Maybe it's about 2 million people in total. And Canada is about 38 million people right now. And so if the bar to the right there is just showing essentially the same data in terms of provinces and their population. Prince Edward Island being the least populated, and then Nova Scotia being the most populated essentially. And because Dr. Adi's face here is just blocking the entire thing, so I have to make sure that I share what is on there as well. But just really talking about population. So in a nutshell, that's Atlantic immigration pilots. In the resource list at the end of the slide, I'm going to be sharing some just you just have to really Google, because this question is coming in about how to find if somebody is designated or not. Just Google designated employer. Let's say you get an offer from Nova Scotia, for example. You just say Google designated employer Nova Scotia. The government's going to have a list on there. Check to see if the employer is on the list. It's really that simple. It's not that complicated, because if the employer is not, then they just really looking to go to the LMIA process. I'm not saying the LMIA process is bad. It's tedious for employers. It's expensive as well. In fact, any employer helping you to come to Canada is expensive for them. But you want to make sure that they're in that list, so if you want to participate in this particular pilot. So that's it for the Atlantic in general. Talked about population. The key here is getting a job offer and employer hiring you, of course, and then you'll be able to immigrate through the Atlantic immigration pilot. So we're going to move on to one of my favorite provinces, the province of Quebec. Awesome. Let's take it down to Quebec then. One of my favorite provinces. So thanks for sharing that.
French to us. Can you introduce us?
They wouldn't even understand the half of it, so there's no point.
We just want to be able to smile now and smile. Just say, hey.
This is an English audience. Maybe when I'm doing a French presentation, then I'll invite them again and they can join us then.
Okay.
But it'll be more to a French market. So Quebec as well, they also have their plan. Quebec is going to welcome about 44,000 people by next year as well. And if we can move on to the next slide, Quebec is a very special market. And let's talk about slide number 12, please.
I'm trying to look for it. What is this? 15?
Not that, just right there. So the Canada-Quebec Accord. So Quebec, they're very special. It's in Canada, yes, but it's a very unique market. They have their own culture. They have their own language, which is French, not English. And over the years, they've just tried to set up different agreements with the government. And the Canada-Quebec Accord essentially gives Quebec the authorization to select their own immigrants, their own way. And the federal government of Canada just respects their decision. And of course, the federal government is also always responsible for admissibility, doing the criminal, make sure they're not, they're admissible to Canada, make sure they're not criminals or they're medically fit to come into Canada. But Quebec, in general, is responsible for the selection. And this is what made the way for a lot of provincial nomination programs as well, because now other provinces can select your candidates as well. But Quebec is one of the first people to start this, because they had that agreement with Canada. And so in 1968, of course, Quebec had the immigration department, which is a long time ago. 10 years after that, they were able to make their own selection criteria for the type of immigrants that they want. And 1991, from there, they've been selecting foreign nationals from abroad, foreign immigrants and refugees as well, to be able to immigrate into Quebec. So that's Quebec in general. They're very different. Even when you visit, you realize that it's not like anywhere else in Canada. It's a little older. It's actually older than Canada. It's at least 370 something years old by now. In Canada, it's just 150 something, right? So that's to tell you that they have a lot of power and decision making, and quite frankly, they feel like they are their own country as well. They're in Canada, but most of the time they just believe they're their own country for some reason. Even though they're still in Canada, they act like it's a nation in itself. So
do you want to give the analogy you gave me the other day?
I did. So I'm from Nigeria originally. So I almost feel like Quebec is almost like Biafra, Nigeria. They're always trying to leave. They tried to leave Canada a couple of times. They're trying to break out. They have their own language. They feel like their language has been, I guess, stolen a little bit by English. Of course, there's history in that as well. A long history. There was a war in the past, and the French lost to the English, and since then they've just always had that issue. So if you go to Quebec today and all you want to engage in is English, you might have a little bit of a problem because they're very nationalist to protect their identity, and they want to protect their language. And why not? Of course, because they're surrounded by English speakers. Like if you think about it, Ontario is to the west, and they're predominantly English speaking, and New Brunswick is to the east, and it's English and French a little bit. And to the south is the United States, more than 300 million people that speak English. So there's this tiny little Quebec somewhere in North America, the only part of North America that the official language is French. So you can understand how they can be a little a little more protective of their language as well.
Yeah.
So
Can I put a
let's
joke there?
yes,
I
of
want
course.
to put this joke. It's a joke, guys. Don't let it go viral. If you are a Biafran and Nigeria has not given you Biafra, you can move to Quebec. Quebec is the Biafra of Canada. It's very
Yeah,
protective of they're very protective of their people. And I
the
know
markets.
Biafrans are nationalists. They're
Yeah,
hardworking people.
exactly.
They're proud over there. So if you're Biafran, I feel like Quebec will be the place that you will find people
Place for
who are
you.
like-minded,
Yeah,
like
it's really
yourself.
cool. It's really cool in Quebec. They have their own flag. It's just the city, or because each province have like a leader, right? Like if you think of it like Nigeria, like a governor, I guess, prime minister. And Quebec, they see their prime minister as their technically their president, right? Like even though we have Justin Trudeau as the prime minister of Canada, they really love their own prime minister. His name is Francois Legault, and they really see him as their own actual president and looking out for their own best interests as well. So they have a program there for skilled workers in Quebec. If you move on to the next slide, Dr. Addy. They have their own program there. It is not Express Entry related. It is called Arima. That's the portal, and it is not Express Entry, and it is very different from the Express Entry system as well. The similarity is it's a point based system as well, so you get points for different factors as well. Because as a skilled worker, for your age, your work experience, and education and stuff like that. So I'll show you some of the differences of the Quebec program and also what an ideal candidate would look like. So if you move on to next slide, please, slide number 14. So first of all, with the Express Entry, which a lot of people know about and talk about all the time, is the ECA from WES or wherever they get it from, World Educational Services. In Quebec, you do not need an ECA. So that's the first difference, is you can actually just create an expression of interest without having to go through the process of applying for an ECA, paying the amount of money that is required for the evaluation. Quebec has in the Arima system, they have a database of most of the universities, and you'll be able to find your school in there without necessarily going through the ECA process. Of course, they have their own way of verifying that your credential is valid, of course, but it wouldn't be through an ECA, so that is not required. So if you move on to
Can I say something? I saw
yes,
that number is dropping. Before you drop off, I want you to know that I know we're English speakers. I know that there is a path in Quebec for you as an English speaker. That is why we're
exactly.
going through this. So
Yeah,
please be
exactly.
taking your notes. And please don't say, oh, Quebec, let me go. You are
Yeah,
listening
and
to
we're
it
going to be talking
because you
about that
can
as well.
benefit from it. Okay,
Yeah,
so please stay tuned, stay taking the notes, because there is a path for English speakers there that could be a little for people who are thinking, oh, I'm already 30 something and I have a bachelor's and Express Entry will not take me. This may be the route. So please stay
exactly.
tuned.
Because a lot of
Stay
people are
calling
not
your
talking
neighbor.
about Quebec.
Help us call your neighbor on Instagram, your neighbor on Facebook, your neighbor on Twitter. Help us call, be your neighbor's keeper. Take a picture of this, tag them, help call your neighbors as you're listening to us. If you do this for your neighbor, it's free. Just take a picture or retweet what is on my post or everywhere. Let somebody else join us. Be that person who wants to help another person get to where they need to be. Our children do not deserve to go through what we have gone through. Please help somebody else get this information so they can come in and learn. I'm challenging you that you're listening to us. That one from Ghana and the one from Lagos and the one from Europe. Tweet this. Share this on your Twitter, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, so somebody else can join. So please stay tuned. Don't lose interest. There is a path for you to come to Canada through the Quebec route as an English speaker. Thank you.
Exactly. And we're going to be talking about if you need to be speaking English in Quebec or not, or French. We'll talk about that as well, and I'll get into more details there. If you go on to the next slide, please, slide number 15. Of course, language is always gives you points because Quebec system is also a point-based system. But when I'm calculating the points for clients and looking at it, language is not necessarily required. So you don't need to necessarily speak French to be able to actually apply, because a lot of clients that I speak with, they tell me, oh, but I don't speak any French. I guess I don't qualify to apply for the program for Quebec. But you do. When I was learning French in Quebec, for example, a lot of the people that were in school with me, they don't speak a word of English, and they didn't speak a word of French. Of course, they came into Canada through the skilled. Some of them came to the skilled program as well, and Quebec will always offer French classes for free to actually train you in the language as well. So the first step is actually getting into the country. So to create a expression of interest for Quebec, you also don't need the French test or even an IELTS. If you have it, wonderful, but it doesn't really. It's not going to be the make or break of your application. If we out of 100 points, for example, for Quebec for single applicants, language is you need about 50 points to be able to get into the pool of candidates, make an expression of interest, and 22 of those is language, and French is about 16 of those points, and English is about 6. So even if you get your IELTS, you're still getting a little bit of points anyways for English. So, and English speakers stay able to immigrate into Quebec without speaking French. So I want to put it out there that is not a mandatory thing for sure. If we go to the next slide number 16, we're going to be answering the question now, do I need to speak French? And the answer is yes and no. Because the Quebec territory is a French-speaking territory. So, but there's parts of Quebec, like Montreal, that is heavily bilingual. Of course, the Quebec people don't like that. They're trying to change that. They're trying to tell people, don't say hello, bonjour, just say bonjour. Because when you say hello, bonjour, it gives somebody the impression that you can engage in English with them, of course. If you go to a town like a city like Quebec City, which is in the interior, they wouldn't be doing hello, bonjour. They just say bonjour to you and expect you to speak French. But if you lived in Montreal, you can do most of the things you want to do in English. Of course, it would be nice for you to learn French at some point. All the street signs are going to be in French. The road signs when you're driving are going to be in French. And your kids, if you have any, they're going to go to French school, of course. So it would be nice for you to have an understanding of French. Is it absolutely mandatory? No. But do you really want to live your life a little confined in the island of Montreal for the whole time? Or do you want to be able to travel into the interior parts of Quebec and experience a little more, because you're going to need French then? So the government of Quebec offers French classes for free for immigrants. They pay you to take French. I got paid when I was learning French. I think they sent a good amount of money there that would be enough for you to take care of yourself every month if you were learning French, because it's an immersion program. So I remember being there from 8:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday, and they just feed you French every day. And within a few months, I was able to become bilingual in 9 months. And a lot of people are able to do that as well. So if the government if they have provided classes for free and you still refuse to learn French, and are you going to be able to go further in Quebec? Not necessarily. So at that point, you can probably decide to maybe move to another province that's English speaking if you want to, like Ontario or New Brunswick. Every other province is English speaking. Quebec is the one that the primary language, official language, is French. New Brunswick as well is bilingual. They speak English and French there. So if you really if they've provided the classes for free and they're also paying you to take it, I believe it is a fair deal. And I believe you can actually learn the language if you take the time, because they're sending you money every month that keeps you from needing to look for a job. So you can take it a little more seriously. And it'll be wonderful as well for your children to be able to be bilingual, because they'll be going to French schools, right? So they'll go to school, they'll speak French with their friends, they come home and you speak English with them. And of course, by the time they graduate, they're already speaking Canada's official languages, and they can work for the government. Opportunities just really open up if you're bilingual. There's some government positions in Canada that if you're bilingual, you get them and they pay big money compared to you just speaking English. So if you have the opportunity to learn French wherever you are, even if you're not in Canada yet, and even if you were in Nigeria or wherever you are, French is always going to be a language that is in demand. There's going to be 700 million French speakers by 2050, and compared to 350 million right now. So that's a lot of people that's going to be speaking French in the next few years. Even if you decided not to immigrate to Canada, all the countries surrounding Nigeria, French-speaking countries. I understand we have some clients here from Nigeria. We have Cameroon, we have Niger, we have Chad, we have Republic of Benin. These are all French-speaking countries. If you're in Ghana, we have Cote d'Ivoire to the west, we have Burkina Faso to the north, we have Togo to the east. These are all French-speaking countries as well. So even if you didn't use it for Canada, it actually still opens a whole new market for you. Before I started speaking French, I was only dealing with English clients, but now I can speak to clients from Cote d'Ivoire, from Senegal, from Cameroon, because it also opens doors for me as well. So it definitely is a skill to get if you have the time for it. If you can move to the next slide, please. So not everybody speaks French in Canada. Obviously, for official languages in Canada, it's English and French. French speaking is about 22%. That's about 8 million people almost. So you can see this is the only language they speak. They don't speak any English. This is just 22% of the country. And then English, you can see is a little more. It's about 75.4% there. That's about 26 million people who just speak only English. And then bilingual there, Dr. Adi's face is covering, it's about 17%. And these are people this is about 6 million people. So 6 million people in Canada at least speak both languages. So I guess I fall into this category of the 6 million. And that's ideally, that's where I would like you guys to be as well, because it's a very interesting place to be, and it makes the market a little more, the work markets and opportunities a little more interesting for you if you're willing to look into that line of work. So let us talk about what an ideal candidate is for Quebec. What would an ideal candidate look like? Because a lot of people think, yes, I have to absolutely speak English, I have to absolutely speak French, or whatever it is. But an ideal candidate is somebody who's a little young. Of course, 35 is always so. Express entry, once you cross 29, you start losing some points for age, right? That's how the express entry system is set up. But Quebec is a little more forgiving. Of course, you have up to 35 there before you start really losing some points for the age. So it's actually something that I find to be interesting. And you get points, just like express entry, you get points for, you have a diploma, a bachelor's, a master's, or a PhD. Of course, a master's is always going to be better than a bachelor's. So there's no denying that fact. But even if you have a bachelor's, you might still be okay. You always have to do a calculation to make sure that you're getting the right points that you need. And Quebec is also very interesting because they give you points for actually what you studied in school based on their own needs. So an express entry doesn't even do that, right? So Quebec will give you points, additional points for what you studied. So if you studied something that was in demand in Quebec, for example, let's just pick a random example. Like say you studied IT, for example. IT is always going to be needed by everybody. So Quebec will give you extra points because you studied IT. And out of 50 points, for example, to be eligible to create a profile, IT could be like 9 points, which is a lot, plus your bachelor's, which is another like 10 points. So you're already getting a lot of points for educational loans. So Quebec always updates this list of study programs. Probably every year they update it to meet their own requirements and needs. But it's most degrees are in there, like nursing or architecture or criminology or whatever it is that most provinces will need. Quebec also has that special list that will give you points based on their priority. Of course, some points are lower than others based on what they need the most, but they'll keep giving you points for what you studied in school. So you don't only get points for the degree itself, you get points for what you actually studied. And Quebec is also very special in terms that they give you points if you have children as well. Because as we know, there's a history of them trying to grow their French population. They feel like they're losing some of their language, and English they're surrounded by English speakers. So it would be nice for them to not only get immigrants in, but also get people that have children as well, because they'll be able to send those kids to French school and they'll be able to integrate them into the Quebec society. And now they're going to be able to grow their population that way. So it is important. So kids here are a blessing, of course. So if you're married, you have some children, you should probably look into Quebec as well, because you'll be getting some extra points. So imagine getting extra points for what you studied. Imagine getting extra points for your children. That is going to be awesome, because that means you might qualify to make the expression of interest for Quebec. So it is something to note. And this you don't need to necessarily be an English speaker, because in Quebec, I have friends that came from Iran. I have friends that don't speak a word of English or French, and a lot of them were also able to immigrate into Quebec because they had the points that they were looking for, and Quebec invited them and sent them to French school as well. And if you live in Canada, an English-speaking part as well, and you want to learn French, you can also move to Quebec as well, and the government will be able to send you to French classes for free, and you'll get paid to learn French as well.
I want to
yeah, go ahead.
help you, Sorosoke, in my audience STEM. So a lot of the people who have contacted me wanting to migrate usually have bachelor's degree. They'll be like 31, 32. They have 2 kids. They're married. And I just want you to see, I have a lot of people like this who have that. And then they're wondering, okay, I've been in the pool. My score is 440. I don't know when it's going to come down. I feel like if you fall in that category, 33 down, 34 down, and you have a bachelor's, your points are so low in express entry, I think you should consider this. If you have children, you have bachelor's, especially if you have it in, you know, the high demand skills, I'll try and look for those links and try to tweet them to you. Please look at those instead of sitting in the pool for 2 years, 3 years, and waiting that the score will come down to 440 and be calling Oligos fired to bring it down. Let's look at Quebec as a route and evaluate your chances, put in the documents, and hopefully this is it. This is it for you. I know that there's no one route. Somebody sent, I posted about Kamala Harris today, and somebody said express entry, the age has limited her because to come to Canada through the express entry route. I feel like if you're in that category, the age has limited you, you're less than 35, you have children, you have a bachelor's, you should take this seriously and go evaluate your chance. Great.
And another interesting thing about Quebec as well is we're looking at a lot of people when talk to me. Someone called me yesterday actually, and he said he wants to leave his family behind so he can go to Canada because of the settlement funds. I'm like, it's really not going to change much. You're still going to have the money that you need to settle in Canada. But Quebec is actually very affordable, and you don't. So Canada requires you to have enough money to take care of yourself for 6 months after you arrive. That's what the settlement fund is for, because the intent is for you not to depend on the government immediately you arrive in Canada. So, but Quebec doesn't require 6 months. They require you to have amounts of money to take care of you for 3 months. So even when it comes to settlement funds, you can see clearly that is at least half of what you need on the federal level itself. So it's also something to consider, because you need less settlement funds. You don't need an ECA, and you also get points for what you studied in school, and there's a lot of advantages there. So it's definitely something to look at for sure, because you need less money, and you can still have your express entry profile and still be interested in Quebec, right? So you got to expand your options and not just limit yourself to one, because some people are like, oh, it's Quebec, they're French, I don't want to go there. No, I don't want to hear it. I think you should expand all of your options and see who invites you, because it doesn't really matter where you go. Canada is a great country from coast to coast. If you're living in Quebec, you're living in Nova Scotia, you're still going to be okay. And if you live, let's say you come to Quebec, you stay for a while, and it's really not for you, there's nothing stopping you from relocating to another part of Canada. You are a permanent resident, you have mobility rights, and you can relocate to anywhere you please in the country. So let us not get faked out and be able to get into the country first. Yeah, but if you go to the next slide, 20, and I know if you're looking for a job, the first thing you need to do is have a Canadian standard resume. A lot of people have a resume with their local government area, their date of birth, and their marital status, how many kids they have. In Canada, we don't care about that. We just want you to have a resume that is standard, and you can, in my resources list at the end there, you can contact Dr. Agdi's company, and they can help you as well to have the standard resume that you need. So at least you're not, because it's very difficult for an employer to want to go through the entire process anyways. And so if you have a resume that is not even like the standard that we need, it's already difficult for them to even want to talk to you in the first place. So you want to position yourself in a way that they want to contact you and want to be willing to go through that process. Because why not try and pay somebody a little more here? Why go all the way to Nigeria and try and hire somebody when they can just increase someone's salary here and make the job a little more better for them, right? So it's important to make sure your resume is good and actually represents you, so that way you can at least get an opportunity. Next slide, please. So as I was saying, this says there's more than 80 immigration pathways to Canada. There's not like a one-size-fits-all solution for everybody. If you just go to the next slide as well. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for everybody. Different things can affect what programs you qualify for, from your level of education to if you've been previously rejected, if you've been persecuted where you are, if you're self-employed, what country you come from. Somebody from the UK is not going to have the same issues as somebody who's coming from Ghana or Nigeria. Somebody who speaks French as well is not going to have the same issues as somebody who only speaks English. Program of study, how much money you have, do you have a job offer, do you have family in Canada, are you talented, like are you an artist or are you an athlete, do you have any children? We've talked about that for Quebec. Different things can affect your application, so always see a specialist, because I know there's so many people talking about immigration these days, and you want to be careful to make sure you're getting the right information. So that's important as well. So the next slide. And this is a fake consultant. I really wanted to speak on this point as well, because there's a lot of people that are I get calls from people after they've been defrauded. And that really saddens me, because we come from a culture where a lot of people are superstitious and they don't necessarily like to share their immigration plans with anybody, and which is okay. I'm not here to judge anybody's beliefs. but that means some of them only speak up after they've been defrauded. And that is because we're working with somebody that doesn't have a license. So you want to be careful if somebody is telling you something is 100% guaranteed. In immigration, is never 100% guaranteed, but if someone is promising you something 100% for sure, you maybe want to back away. And if somebody is telling you to pay them for a job offer, it is illegal in Canada to pay somebody for a job offer. So you want to maybe back away because that person is obviously lying and in breach of Canada's laws as well. So they can actually go to jail. And so, but a lot of people, when they're desperate, they're vulnerable. So desperation, then someone offers them a job like, yeah, this is real, I'm going to pay. But you should never pay for a job. And you want to also do your own research. So if you decide to be a little superstitious and do things in secret, that's fine, but you want to also be very, very careful as well. And verify the person's license with ICCRC. Make sure they have a license to practice, so that way you're not caught in some weird situation. And move on to the next slide. Dr. Adi's face is going to cover this, but I can explain this is me. This is me. It's essentially saying I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I'm also registered to practice. I'm registered to practice in Canada. I believe I'm the only Nigerian authorized to practice in Quebec at the moment because I speak French and I've taken your exam. So if you're looking into Quebec, I'm going to be your guy. I've lived in Canada for 12 years, so I understand the terrain very well, and I'm also bilingual. If you go to the next slide, 25, so we can end this pretty quickly. For job search for the designated employers for Quebec, you just have to Google Atlantic Designated Employers List. Each province have a list, so you can just use that to find out if the employer is designated or not. For Canadian Standard Resume, you want to contact Dr. Adi with Deep Tech Centrics Consulting. So at least you can have the Canadian Standard Resume, because I don't think there's anybody more Canadian than Dr. Adi at the moment, because she just won the RBC Top 25 Immigrants for Canada. So it's a good thing.
Thank
so she'll
you.
be able to help with the resume for sure. So, and also verifying a consultant status is very important. There's ICCROC for the federal level, and there's MIFI for Quebec as well. So make sure the person you're working with has the license. I have both licenses, so that's okay. But you don't have to use me. You can use anybody as well, but make sure at least they have that license, because I've gotten so many calls of people after they've been defrauded and they're just in tears, right? So you want to be very careful. And so people struggle with the language exam as well. IELTS is too difficult, blah, blah, blah. There's IELTS mentors. Just put it on Google, IELTS mentor, see how you feel. And also Alliance Française as well. There's always, I find major cities all over the world have an Alliance Française. If you're looking at learning French, visit it. It wouldn't cost you more than $1,000 or something like that, but it will be way cheaper than studying in Canada, for example, right? So if we move to the next slide, and some people have been so frustrated. They have express entry, very low points, CRS points, and they just don't even want to apply at all for anything, because, and sometimes as well, they have too much information and get this information overload, and they also don't want to apply. It's like you're going on Netflix, you have so many movies, and you can't pick one because there's just too many options, and that gets you a bit frozen, right? And here I say you will never win a lottery if you don't play, because there's people that they don't want to even try, because right now, if you don't apply, you don't try anything, you actually have zero chances of immigrating to Canada, because nobody knows about you. No one is going to invite you for anything. But at least if you try something, at least you increase your chances. Nothing is ever 100% guaranteed, but at least you're increasing your chances whatever you do. And if you go to the next slide. And this is our contact information. Our website is on there, Facebook, Instagram, email as well. So you can contact us. We'd like to hear from you. And finally, the last slide.
We are
no, I'm not tweeting yet. I'm not like the birds.
Please open a Twitter.
Maybe,
let me introduce you to my 40,000 followers.
Okay. Maybe I'll look into Twitter pretty soon. So far it's Instagram and the website's a little more traditional, I guess. But maybe Twitter. I've never had Twitter, but maybe I'll look into it soon. And if you go to the next slide, which is the last one, I've been in Canada for 12 years. It's an absolutely amazing country to live in. I've just been so fortunate to live here, and Canada is going to be welcoming 1.2 million people in the next few years, and I want you to be one of those people. So, visit our website, talk to a specialist, and make sure that you get in the help that you need, because there's so many ways to come. There's no one size fits all solution, and Canada has been a blessing for me, and I want it to be a blessing to you too and your family. So Canada awaits you, and we'd like to have you in Canada soon. So thank you very much, Dr. Adi, and over to you.
I have one question. I'm asking this on behalf of my audience who are 45. So if you can mention a bit, if someone is trying to migrate through the investor route to Quebec, what's the deal? How much do they need?
Well, Quebec Quebec is a little more expensive in terms of the investors program. If I was looking at an investors program right now, there's actually a pilot in British Columbia that instead of requiring, say $600,000 Canadian, they could obviously do it for. There's a pilot that slashes the money in half, so they were looking at 300,000 Canadian instead. Which is one of the cheapest ones that I've seen. You don't necessarily need to invest millions and start looking at the Quebec investment program if you don't absolutely need to. Of course, if you have the money, we can always help you do that, but you can get what you're trying to get done for 300,000 Canadian as well. Quebec also have a self-employed stream.
That's the one I want to ask next.
Yeah, if you have a self-employed, yeah, that's different from the investment program. But if you have a if you're self-employed in your own country and you want to immigrate to Canada and do that type of work as well as a self-employed, you need about $100,000 to be able to do that. And you're going to invest some of that money, but your net worth needs to be at least $100,000, which is one of the cheapest ones in terms of self-employment. But if you're looking as an investor, like actually investing and buying a business and investing, British Columbia has one of the cheapest options.
A lot of our audience are self-employed because in Nigeria, if you work for a while, you start your home business. If you're one of those who is self-employed, you are 45, I believe age is not a problem for it. This could be the route for you. If you're less than 35, you may want to look at the Quebec route that was just talked about. I feel like there is a place for everybody. No matter what stage you fall into, we just have to find out what is the route for you, and then you can plan towards it. If you're looking at the self-employed route, you may take time to save that 100,000. You may take time to make sure your business documents are put together properly. Take time to invest in these processes. There is no fast way to get to Canada. There is no cheap way to get to Canada, but there is a strategic way. It's painstaking, it's painful, but at the end of the day, you need to always remember why you're doing it. Maybe for a better future for your children, maybe for a better future for you yourself. Like he said, Canada awaits you. I believe what is possible in Canada. I am talking to you from Indiana, and I still continue to promote Canada because I know for a fact what I benefited, what I have helped others benefit in that country. And I know that your children and my children deserve better than what they have today where you are. And I know you can give it to them. Let's just put the strategy together. Like I say to you all the time, when I bring somebody to my show, I'm endorsing them. I'm endorsing them because they are trusted and tested. Today, I've just put my integrity on the line again and endorse somebody because I know that he is the right person. He's done something for us. I talked to him about we need discount. So when we had that NSAS stuff going on, he actually gave discount, 70% discount for his consultation in order to help Nigerians be able to get that right consultation, understand the immigration process. Now, that discount ended yesterday. And I have done begging for you people and asked him to help us and extend that for another 2 weeks. So if you're looking for, I wanted to consult for us to understand the right pathway. Right now is 45 Canadian dollars. Am I right?
Yeah, it's going to be 45 Canadian dollars, which is 15,000 naira for the next 2 weeks. So we're extending
let me do my own promotion. 45 Canadian instead of 150 Canadian. Exactly. It is only going to do that for the next 2 weeks. If you're looking to put a roadmap together for 2021, I want you to jump on that train. This is not because I don't get any commission. I get zero commission. But I'm tired of people not have clarity. I'm tired of you saying, I'm just thinking about it. I'm tired of you being stuck in a place, being stuck in that pool, being stuck in your current job that is frustrating. There's no path for promotion. You're feeling underappreciated. When I know that you can do better, I believe in what is possible for you. I believe that you can migrate. So I have begged him to help us and give us these 2 weeks, 70% off. Go and register. Mention my name that I'm the one sending you so that you can get that extension for $45. Find that 15,000 naira. Go and pay.
The discount code is NSARS, and a lot of people think because that's for the NSARS movement. So the discount code is NSARS on our website that they can book it. And some people are thinking it's just for Nigerians alone. Even if you're from Ghana, whatever country you're from, you can still use the code. It will be valid for you. I will not be verifying if you're actually a Nigerian citizen or not. It doesn't really, it's just a promotion. It's a discount code NSARS, and anybody can use it for the next 2 weeks. So we'll be happy to hear from you.
Thank you very much for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much
for becoming my brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you do, and I appreciate the way you support people. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Abby.
Guys, stay with us as we bring our second person today.